all 3 of the Uncharted games for PS3 are being remastered.
Everything great about Halo Sandbox, all into one multiplayer.
Almost kind of no thought.
I think when I bought it,
I
back great. It's the wait.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Hello everyone, I'm Jalon Morgan from A Cast of Geeks, and today I'll be sharing my impressions of Apple's 2017 Worldwide Developers Conference. Now, this conference was just chock full of major announcements and was assuredly one of Apple's best in recent years. Apple's announcements seemed purposeful and even bullish at times, like a company with something to prove. They seemed bent on righting wrongs made to their core fans and showing most of all that they still care about professionals. To recap the conference itself, it was broken up into 6 major announcements. To kick off the conference, Apple began with tvOS. They didn't have a lot to say about it, but did hint that they could have more to say about it later in the year. This could perhaps allude to the launch of a 4K capable Apple TV later in the year. Apple did note, however, that Amazon Prime Video would finally be coming to the Apple TV. Apple's next major announcement centered around watchOS 4. The latest version of watchOS brings some notable improvements. First, Apple added new faces such as a new Siri face, which uses machine learning to provide you with relevant information based on things such as your current location and your routine. Additionally, they introduced a new kaleidoscope face as well as an interactive Toy Story face. Finally, Apple announced new direct Bluetooth functionality to the Apple Watch, meaning the watch can now connect to external devices such as surfboards, tennis rackets, and glucose monitors. The Apple Watch will also be able to communicate via NFC with compatible gym equipment to obtain information. Apple's third announcement centered around its oldest platform, the Mac. Following the announcement of the new name High Sierra, Craig Federighi called the name Fully Baked, which I thought was quite funny. This version of the Mac seems to focus primarily on refinements and performance, which is a welcome decision to Mac fans. There were also some smaller features added to Safari such as autoplay blocking, ad track blocking, and speed improvements, which Apple says makes it the fastest web browser on the planet. Photos also received some modest updates such as edit synchronization with third parties like Photoshop. macOS High Sierra also follows suit of iOS by making the jump from HFS to APFS. HFS has code stemming from 30 years ago, while the all-new APFS is much more efficient, which will make tasks such as duplicating files much faster. Apple also announced support for external graphics and VR. Additionally, Metal 2 was announced to work in tandem with these announcements. Now, while WWDC has traditionally been a space for Apple to talk software with the world's leading app developers, Apple was not shy in adding hardware to the mix. The first hardware announcements were refinements to the iMac line. The iMac screen is now 500 nits, making it 43% brighter than before. All iMacs now support Intel Kaby Lake processors. The 21.5-inch iMac is now configurable up to 32 GB of RAM, and the 27-inch 64 GB of RAM. Additionally, iMac models now have 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports, faster SSDs, and 80% faster graphics. The entry-level 4K iMac price has now been dropped to $1299. The iMac was not the only product in the Mac lineup to see refinements. The MacBook Pro 13-inch now starts at $1299 and also supports Kaby Lake processors. Meanwhile, the 12-inch MacBook now has 50% faster SSD options. Apple's next announcement was one of their biggest signalers to me that they were extending the olive branch to their Pro users. Apple's most powerful Mac to date was announced, the iMac Pro, which comes in a beautiful space gray color, has a 5K display, and is now configurable up to a 18-core Xeon processor and up to 128 GB of RAM. The iMac Pro will also support AMD's all-new Radeon Vega graphics with up to 16 GB of VRAM and up to 11 teraflops of computing and 22 teraflops of half-precision computing. It also supports up to a ridiculous 4 TB of SSD storage. As expected, iOS 11 was also announced. Now thankfully they didn't try to change up the naming scheme and instead kept with the traditional numbering. This update includes refinements such as message syncing via iCloud, so if you delete a message on one device, it's deleted from all of them. Siri improvements were also added, such as a more natural voice, translation capabilities, follow-up questions, and contextual awareness based on your interests. Apple also announced a new video and photo format that would allow media storage at half of the storage requirement of H.264 and JPEG respectively. The Depth API found in portrait mode on iPhone 7 Plus is also being opened up to developers. The Control Center was also completely revamped with a new one-page interface with 3D touch revealing more information. I know the multiple page design found on iOS 10 was a bit frustrating to me at times, so this was a welcome redesign to me. Apple also showed a new dedication to augmented reality by announcing ARKit, an easy way for developers to incorporate augmented reality into their apps. The demo they showed was very impressive as they demonstrate the ability to set objects on a table and insert a lamp to allow for dynamic shadows. Having already announced an iMac Pro, Apple was not done with hardware announcements at this year's WWDC. No, they also announced the newest addition to the iPad Pro lineup, a 10.5-inch iPad Pro. Coming in at just £1, the device seeks to strike the ideal balance between the screen real estate of the 12.9-inch iPad Pro and the portability of the 9.7-inch iPad Pro. Aside from that, the screen offers a dynamically adjusting 120Hz refresh, which allows for the lowest latency of any stylus when paired with the Apple Pencil at just 20 milliseconds. The refresh rate also promises to make scrolling much smoother and can adjust itself based on the task. So perhaps a slow 24 Hz in notability, a 48 Hz when watching a movie, and a full 128 Hz when editing photos. This allows for the device to save battery. The device rocks an all-new A10X chip, which promises a 30% faster CPU. Affinity Photo, a professional-grade photo editing application, was also demoed to demonstrate the device's capabilities, saying it offers better performance than the same application running on a quad-core i7. The next announcement was my favorite of the entire keynote. As someone who has been using an iPad for productivity for some time, I've seen its potential. At the same time, I've been fully aware of its shortcomings in this capacity. Naturally, I've become frustrated with Apple as the product has been so close to reaching this potential. It packs the power, app support, and incredible portability to be ideal for a student such as myself. The only thing holding it back? Its operating system, and the limitations set forth by Apple itself. With these latest announcements, it seems that Apple is finally serious about the iPad as something more than a light task consumption device. Apple seems poised to finally go toe-to-toe with Microsoft and their Surface lineup. First, Apple is bringing the dock from macOS to the iPad, meaning you can customize it and add all of your favorite apps to it. It is revealed in any app by swiping up from the bottom. An app can also be dragged from the dock and open to the side to be used in slide over. A new mission control-like interface was also revealed, which shows your open applications and even split-screen combinations. This is a much more streamlined take on multitasking when compared to the scrolling mess offered before. Drag and drop was also introduced, allowing users to drag and drop URLs, images, and text to an app in split view or to an app on the dock. Users can select multiple items for drag and drop by holding on one item and then selecting others with other fingers. From there, you can navigate to another app with those items remaining stuck to your fingertip, ready to be dropped. Apple also changed the on-screen keyboard to include quick pull-downs to reveal special characters. iPad users rejoice. A new file manager was introduced. It supports the expected: tags, folders, and third-party cloud services. New Apple Pencil support was also announced, which allows users to quickly mark up screenshots and anything that supports quick preview. Once a screenshot is taken, it will appear at the bottom left of the screen where the user can tap it to mark it up and send it off. The user is then asked to delete or save the screenshot, which is a welcome addition. Touching the Apple Pencil to the lock screen also brings the user straight into the Notes app. Now, speaking of the Notes app, it too got some improvements such as a built-in document scanner, inline drawing, and searchable handwritten notes. Now, for many of us using iPads for productivity, the vigilance of third-party developers has been its saving grace. The cobbling together of custom workflows from the Workflow app and the suite of apps made by Readle have gotten it close, but it was hard not to imagine the potential of an Apple ready to make these things happen for real. These announcements were just that, them finally becoming serious about the iPad Pro. It was encouraging to see that they devoted the time to truly rethink how productivity should work on touch. Differentiating iOS on iPad versus iPhones is a move users have been clamoring for. Apple's sixth and final announcement was the HomePod, a home smart speaker that looks to take on the likes of Google Home and Amazon Echo. Now, unique to the HomePod is its desire to take on more high-end speaker options such as Sonos, while also retaining the perks of being a smart speaker. The 7-inch speaker contains 7 tweeters and a huge subwoofer. It is powered by the A8 chip and contains features such as spatial awareness. The HomePod will come in at $349, making it more expensive than both the Google Home and Amazon Echo. Now, it remains to see how these speakers sound in relation to its competitors. So as you can see, guys, Apple's latest Worldwide Developers Conference was jam-packed with announcements that illuminate Apple's vision for the future of personal computing. It also marked a return to form with professional users as they seemed determined to garner their admiration once again. Additionally, Apple placed the iPad Pro at the forefront and gave it the tools to be a real productivity machine. What were your thoughts on the software and hardware announcements at WWDC 2017? Sound off in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.